Just a moment. Let me know if my screen is visible.
Yeah, it is visible.
Okay. Okay. Good morning, everyone. And Arun, stop me if there is any issue.
Sure.
Like, okay.
Sure, Dixit.
So good morning, everyone. And today I'll be presenting about CPQ. So as Arun discussed, right, we'll be starting a series of CPQ. So today is the first session where we'll talk about CPQ, why we need CPQ, and what are its features. Okay. So before CPQ, what were the challenges actually? If you talk about normal Sales Cloud, in normal Sales Cloud, people were doing everything like you do in CPQ. Earlier, people were doing everything in normal Sales Cloud as well. But the problem with normal Sales Cloud is even though you can see the standard quote object as well in Sales Cloud, but the problem is there are a lot of errors. Okay, so sometimes you need to manually, maintain the data either in Excel sheets or PDF. So this data could be like, your code documents. So core documents like which basically if you know the sales cycle, like once you are ready with your quotation, so what we used to do is like we prepared a document like for the customer signature, right? So these kind of data, or you can say the data about products, about pricing, these kind of data were maintained in the Excel sheets or PDFs, right? And as a result, there can be a lot of human errors as well. And there is no standard pattern of pricing, right? So it's all about manual work. And like if you have to give discounts, so there can be a issue in discounting as well. And it also results in sales pipeline as well. Sales pipeline means to say like you can't track the number of opportunities, you know like coming in your pipeline. Basically it is about forecasting as well, like how many deals you have closed. So there was a lot of issues prior to CPQ, because in normal terms, like in CPQ, like you have contracts, orders, right? So in order to maintain that kind of data, especially when it comes to renewals or amendments, there was an inconsistency prior to CPQ, because CPQ do provides out of the box features to handle everything, like a basic concept of quotation, then you have order fulfillment, then you have contracts, amendment, renewals. So these kind of things are easily covered in CPQ, but prior to CPQ there was a lot of challenges actually. Okay. And if you have prepared any quotation and you need to get the approval from your higher management, right? So there were offline approvals, like you need to send those documents on an email, and then you have to wait too long for the approval of a single quotation. But if I talk about CPQ, what is CPQ, and later on we'll see how it overcomes all these issues as well. So CPQ, as it is written, like it's a cloud-based software application, right? So basically, it's a in Salesforce, it's a managed package, and which which helps every company, or like internal sales rep, or you can say customers, partners of a particular company, to prepare quotation by their own and in a fast manner. So it's not about only having a quotation into the system. It's about you know by it's about maintaining different pricing methodologies as well. So pricing means to say there are lots of different kinds of pricing. Like for example, when you go on a shop, right? So let's suppose it can be any retailer or wholesale shop, and you want every some items in a bulk. So basically, like let's suppose you are trying to buy something and you want like 100 or 200 quantity of that particular product, and and there is a basically you want to, you will be charged, let's suppose, 50 rupees of 100 items or 100 rupees of 200 items, right? So this is basically kind of example of a block pricing. So like customer has defined, if you buy 100 quantities you will be charged by x amount, if you buy 200 quantities of a particular product you will be charged by y amount of. Okay. So these kind of standard things, or let's suppose you are trying to buy a laptop, and other than laptop there are some accessories like headphone, or and etc, like hard drives, these kind of things. And the company told you like, if you buy this then it will be like 2% of the laptop, 3% of the laptop. So this is another example of pricing. So these kind of different pricing has been handled by CPQ. So CPQ stands for configure, pricing, and quotation. So configure means first you need to configure your products. So configuring product means like you will have products in Salesforce, and these products can be of either standalone or it can be bundle as well. So your internal sales reps will deal with your customers, and they will try to create a quotation. And on top of quotation they will add the products. So before adding the products, as an admin you have the responsibility to configure the products in Salesforce. Now after configuration, you have the pricing. So for the pricing thing you need to make sure as per your business pricing is there for your products. And then in the last, sales rep will quote. So Q stands for quotation. Okay. Now now let's talk about CPQ. Okay. So there are a lot of different ways to represent data flow in CPQ. This image I have took like this image from Google, and basically always it starts from an account. So account can be a person account or it can be a company account as well. So under account you can have lot of opportunities, and one opportunity can have lot of quotes. Now as soon as you are working on a quotation, right, and you think like it is not the finalized quotation, by default, like whenever you try to create a quote under an opportunity, usually what companies do is they always create a primary quote. So primary quote is the quote which is basically the main quote, or you can say the quote which will be either going forward gonna submit for approval, and basically that will tell us like what products customer is buying. So one opportunity can have many quotes, but out of them one has to be primary. And as soon as you will make a quote primary, all the quote lines, all the products you have added to that quotation will be added as a opportunity line item. So looking into opportunity, I can clearly say like these products has been purchased by customer. Now once you are done with the quotation, okay, like what things you can do on quotation is like you can either add or edit your products, right, or configure your bundles, configure your products. You can have additional discount on top of that. So this discounting and pricing thing, this has to be configured by Salesforce admin or CPQ admin into the system, because usually uh, pricing or discounts are applied automatically into the system. There are some certain cases where sales rep just give manual discount as well, but sales rep does not have to bother about all the automations. It's the responsibility of CPQ admin. So once you are done with the pricing and discount, right, like you have the quote ready with you, then the next step is you will submit that quote for approval. Like there can be a different approval rules into the system. So the thing is here we are not talking about standard approvals given by Salesforce. We are talking about advanced approvals. So advanced approvals is basically uh, you know is a concept where you can do approvals, like you can ask for approvals in parallel. You don't have to wait for long. And like if let's suppose there is a product, XYZ product, and as a Salesforce admin or CPQ admin, you have configured approval rule on top of that product. If someone gives more than 10% discount on that product, what will happen is this particular quote will go for approval to either finance, accounting, deal desk teams, right? So these three are different departments. So with the help of advanced approvals, we can trigger parallel approvals, like all of them will receive a notification or an email about this approval. So once everyone approves that code, then what happens is, like in CPQ, you will generate a code document. So code document in Salesforce CPQ is being generated by code template. So code template is another feature of CPQ. Once you have code document in place, either you will integrate DocuSign, Adobe Sign in Salesforce CPQ for the signature of customer, so that customer can see in a PDF file like what products he has purchased from you, right? And then customer will sign that document. As soon as customer will sign that document, sale basically it totally depends upon your company. Like there are different, it's not one like strict data flow of the Salesforce CPQ, right? More or the less, mostly companies follow the same structure because it's a standard structure. But sometimes what happened is, like, usually people don't go for order object. As soon as customer signs the document, there is an automation by DocuSign which will update the opportunity to close bond. Or either what they do is, like, they just update the quote status to approved when the customer signs that document. So it varies business to business or company to company, right? But in this diagram, as if I talk about specifically is this diagram, as soon as customer signs, if you see this e-signature, you can treat this e-signature box as a DocuSign, right? So as soon as customer signs the document, what will happen is that particular opportunity will move to closed one. Now, as soon as opportunities move to closed one, system will generate an order. So then there will be another automation on top of opportunity. As soon as opportunity is closed one, in CPQ, the system will generate an order. Order will contain all your order items coming from either opportunity line items or quote line items. So now, if you see this diagram, right, there are two ways. One is either to generate contract direct from opportunity, or you can go through order as well. So why we use order? In what cases we don't need order? Basically, if you are using billing, then you definitely need order, because order is the entry point of billing. Either you are using Salesforce billing or using any other third party tool. So you need an order object. You have to enable order object in Salesforce. This order object doesn't comes from Salesforce CPQ. It's a standard object in Salesforce. So if you see these objects, order, contract, opportunity, account, these are standard Salesforce objects. Okay. Other than that, if you are not using billing, so sometimes what company do is, like, as soon as opportunity moves to close one, they at that point of time they directly generate a contract. So all your opportunity line items move to subscriptions. So subscription is a child object of contract. Now, once you have the contract in system, you can either amend that contract or renew that contract. So let's suppose you have purchased, let's suppose, 10 laptops, okay, or 100 of laptops for your company. But after 6 months, you realize you don't need 100 because your company, like, the hiring is freeze for your company, and you still have 70 laptops unused, right? So what you can do is you can amend that contract, and there will be a refund generated for the extra money you have paid. So all these things basically CPQ handles automatically. And as soon as, let's suppose, you buy any Netflix subscription, right? So for 1 year, as soon as your contract is about to end, we will like there will be a renewal process initiated by CPQ. So either it's an amendment contract, either it's an amendment process or a renewal process. What will happen is, always there will be always amendment opportunity will be there, amendment quote will be there, renewal opportunity will be there, renewal quote will be there, right? So no matter it's a new business deal, either it's an amendment or it's a renewal, opportunity and quote has to be there. Okay, that is the standard pattern. Okay. So if you have any questions, Arun, should we take questions at the end or like?
Yeah, so we will be having a question in the end only. So there's a Q&A section, guys. You can post your question, and definitely we'll be having a QA session in the end of the
Okay.
this particular slide. And Dikshit, can we also share the screen so that everybody, I'm not so sure they have been working in a CPQ or not. At least they can relate themselves if they will be having a UI of the CPQ, how it will look like.
Or you mean to say org, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. After this PPT, I'll discuss
sure.
that as well. Okay. Yeah. So next is what are CPQ features? So as I said, you have product and pricing configuration, right? So as a CPQ admin, you will configure your products. On top of that, you will configure pricing. So there are different kinds of products like subscription products. You have subscription, as I said, you can take example of Netflix, uh, and one time products like you are buying a laptop and it's a one time product, right? So one time is like you have to pay only one time. And another example could be usage products, like as much as you will use, then on top of that you have to pay. That these kind of configurations you can do in CPQ. And if I specifically talk about configuration, you can sell your products standalone, or you can sell your products in a bundle as well. Like you can configure laptop, mouse, charger inside a bundle, and then bundle is just like a box, right? So another feature is guided selling. Guided selling basically is a you can treat it as a screen flow, right? It's not exactly like a screen flow. It's just like it will system will ask you some inputs, right? What kind of product you want. Either you want hardware or software. Okay, if you want hardware, then what would be the specification, right? So you want like what are the specifications in terms of RAM, hard disk, right? So these kind of questions can be asked by the system to sales rep. So this is not automatic, right? Salesforce CPQ admin has to configure guided selling. Okay, so people generally use guided selling as well. Then we have generate code documents. So code documents basically means to say the code templates. Once your code is approved, right, then you will generate the code template, and that particular code template you will send to customer for the signature. Next, as I said, advanced approvals implementation. So advanced approvals helps in parallel processing of approvals. Then you have electronic signature integrations. Once you have generated the code document, and then what will happen is like basically you can integrate DocuSign, Adobe Sign, these different kinds of electronic signature tools with Salesforce CPQ, so that customers can sign on, right? And it also speed up your process as well, like closing your deals, like because if you use any tools like DocuSign, right? So it's a matter of time. Once that quote is approved and there is a button, let's suppose send to DocuSign. As soon as you click that button, automatically this particular code template will be sent to customer's email and they will sign it immediately. And it helps in closing deals faster. Then you have asset and contract generation. So contract is basically a record, like if you one more point, important point over here is contract is only, you will see contract in the system only if you have one subscription product. Okay, so if you don't have any subscription product, then you will see assets. So assets are basically like a document which says this particular product belongs to customer. And if I talk about contract is basically like, as I said, you purchase any antivirus or Netflix subscription. So let's suppose Netflix or antivirus is a product. So that product will be act as a subscription, and subscription will be a child object of contract, because contract is the starting point of renewals and amendments. If you don't have a contract, you won't be able to renew or amend any product. Next we have is configuration. As I said, you can either configure standalone products or bundle products. Bundle products can contain many products inside a box. Okay, box means to say, I'm talking about in a layman language. but ultimately it will be a wrapper product which will not have any pricing. Sometimes it have pricing, but it totally depends upon your business. Next we have subscription and one time products. So subscription, like I said, it's basically, like you have purchased one product for 2 years, 3 years, then it's a subscription product. So you have to like pay amount for 3 years, and you can see the contract into the system. If you want to cancel the contract, you can cancel that contract, or you can renew that contract. So that is a subscription based model. One time is like just you need to buy the product and you need to pay only one time for that particular product. Next we have multi-dimensional coding. So multi-dimensional coding, basically in CPQ we usually say MDQ products. So what does that mean is, like, let's suppose you purchase the product for 3 years. Okay, so that product is a subscription product, but you want every year like you want, like, on first year you want 5% discount, on the second year you want 10% discount, on third year you want like 20% of discount, right? So on every year, like, there will, let's suppose you have added a product onto the quote, and what will happen is you will see three quote lines for that particular product. Three quote line means to say, like, for every year you can individually configure that particular pricing discounts. So multi-dimensional quoting is, uh, let's suppose you have buy a product for 6 months, and I can configure each and every month separately for that particular product. Like, in this month I want this percent of discount, the pricing should be this much. Okay, so this kind of feature is known as MDQ, and we will cover entire session on this as well. So next we have product rules. Product rules are basically used or created by CPQ admin, and when sales rep is trying to add products on a quote, what will happen is, like, there are certain set of rules which has been developed by admin on the basis of the company's requirement, right? So let's suppose, there can be a rule like saying that whenever you will add a laptop product or whenever you will purchase the laptop, then charger will be automatically added to that particular quotation. So this is a rule, right? So see, what CPQ admin will do is CPQ admin will create a product rule into the system. So whenever any sales rep will go and add a product, automatically, whenever he tries to add a laptop, then automatically charger will be there. So these, there are a lot of different kinds of product rules into the system what CPQ provides to us. Okay, it helps sales rep to create quotations faster. Next we have pricing. So pricing is basically pricing waterfall model. So CPQ supports pricing waterfall model. There is a certain process. Okay, there is a, like, top to bottom, step by step there is a process on the basis of which the pricing is getting calculated. So on each and every topic, like, you see this configuration, right? And on this every entire CPQ features, we will be having one session so that we can go in detail. Right now I'm giving you a high level idea of what CPQ as its own features. Now, so if I talk about, as I said, there is a pricing waterfall model which CPQ supports, and on the basis of that, you will see, like, your pricing of a particular product is being calculated. You can write your own rules, like CPQ admin. Sometimes you have complex requirements, and on top, like, you need to perform some calculations, and on top of that you need to calculate the price of a particular product. So these kind of things you can use either price rules or custom script plugins. So I know this time, like, you will be, assuming what are all these terms, how it looks like. But once we will go into the sessions, you will see each and everything in the detail as well. Next, we have court approvals. So basically, court approvals, as I said, advance approvals. The biggest advantage of advance approval is approval chains, which will help us in parallel processing of approvals. And then there is an example of smart approvals as well. So smart approvals is also another feature in standard approvals, sorry, advanced approvals. And what does this mean is basically, let's suppose you have a quotation, and that quotation has to be approved by finance and accounting team. Okay, so finance has approved that quotation, but accounting team has rejected that quotation. Now if you have enabled these smart approvals, next time once you submit that quote for an approval, what will happen is it will directly go to accounting team, because finance already has approved that quotation. So in this manner you will save the time as well with using smart approvals. Now as soon as your quotation is ready, right, if I go back in this diagram, you will see as soon as you have the quotation approved and that document is ready, right? So once your opportunity is closed one, you will see the either contract or order into the system, right? So order is a standard object, contract is also a standard object. But sometimes in order to use entitlements kind of features, there is another package which is known as Service Cloud for CPQ Managed package. If your customer is using this package, in that case what will happen is, instead of contract, service contract object will be there, and this contract object will be disabled by default. Okay, and this service contract object comes from this package. Assets, one time product, assets is basically one time products, or you can say the, like, the representation of products which belongs to the customer only. Now same in case of subscription and contract line items. If you are using this Service Cloud for CPQ managed package, subscriptions will be replaced by contract line items and subscriptions will be disabled. Okay, amendment, as I explained, you can modify any contract. Okay, in between, renewal is basically simply renewing the contract. So these are different features. We will cover everything in detail as well. Now what is Salesforce CPQ package? So you can either use this link to install the package, or this link to just directly create a developer org with all the CPQ data pre-populated. Okay, so if I click on this link, now if you see over here, there's a Salesforce CPQ, right? So you can install, if you want to install in sandbox, or if you want to install in production. If you have created a new developer org, then you always have to go for production link, right? Then as I said, there is another package, Service Cloud for CPQ as well. If your company, like I have seen one customer, they are using Service Cloud for CPQ, uh, because they want to use Service Cloud features as well, like entitlements stuff, so they can use this as well. Now if I scroll down, you can also use the same link to install advanced approvals package as well. Okay, that depends upon your choice whether you want in sandbox or production. Always prefer the latest one. Okay, and this is the link. This link is basically just to register a Salesforce org, like a developer org, but this developer org will have all the CPQ data already. CPQ package is installed by default. You will see all the CPQ objects, and you will see some sample data as well. Otherwise, if you try to create a new developer org without this CPQ, then you need to set up everything, like install the package, then create products, configure products, right? So you can always follow these two links. As I said, CPQ data is pre-populated. So you will see some accounts, contracts, maybe some subscriptions as well, products as well, automatically. If you try to use this, it will save your time. Okay, earlier, I don't know, like maybe 1 or 2 years back, this particular org was available for 3 months. Now if you try to use this link and create a CPQ org, it is available lifetime. Okay. Okay, so next we have.
So Dikshit, I just wanted to add one or two points over here. So guys,
Mhm.
this is the first URL, okay, which you are seeing is installed on streetbig.com. So normally your customer will be purchasing normally Sales Cloud, Service Cloud, or many some other cloud, right? and on top of that they wanted to use the CPQ, then obviously you need to go to that particular package and you can install that. But the second URL is more on the playground. Okay, if you wanted to learn CPQ, so what Salesforce has done, like any other clouds, okay, if you are going to the Trailhead, so they are giving you the option, okay, you can directly create your developer org, but that dev org will be pre-installed with the all the CPQ prerequisite. And also they have also given some of the records, because they will be having hands-on exercise in the Trailhead, and those data will be very useful in terms of the completion of those exercises. So if you wanted to really go, so obviously there's a CPQ trailhead as well. So you can start from there, and that's a same org you need to create, so that you need to get a data as well to complete the exercises. Yeah, go ahead, please, Dixit.
Yeah. So if I see this slide, right, whenever you try to install CPQ package, right, what will happen is it will ask you like for what kind of users you want to install the CPQ package. I'll always suggest you need to install always for admins, okay, not for all the users. So what will happen is if you try to install for admins, all the Salesforce administrator will have by default permissions to this CPQ package. But if you want to give to any other person, then what you have to do is you have to first assign the license and then assign the relevant permission sets. So if you don't have like you have sorry if you haven't assigned the license to a particular user, what will happen is whenever you are trying to assign that particular CPQ permission set, it will give you an error. So it will ask you to first assign the license. If you don't have the license, how you will use that, right? So always prefer to install for admins only. Okay. Now, as soon as you install the Salesforce CPQ package, right? Now, if I show a developer org, this is my developer org, and it already has CPQ package. If you have to see that CPQ, let me open this in Lightning as well. Okay. If you go to this installed packages, whenever you will try to install Salesforce CPQ, you will see Salesforce CPQ over here in installed packages like this, right? If you try to configure this, it is taking time, just a minute. Yeah. So now this is basically like settings for CPQ package, different kinds of settings, and these kind of settings has been categorized like code tab will contain different code settings order, then some additional settings. If that setting is related to pricing and calculation, you will see that, right? So point to explain is like whenever you install CPQ package, your first step is to enable this calculation service. Okay. So by default what will happen is not in this org. Okay, like if I go back, if you are using this in this particular org, everything is enabled. As I said, the calculation service is enabled. But if you are installing package from this link and you are configuring the things, the first step you need to do is you need to go to CPQ package. As I like went here, installed packages, then click on configure. So under this pricing and calculation, by default, this will be checked. You just need to uncheck this checkbox, use legacy calculator. There will be a pop-up like this, a link like this, authorize new calculation service. As soon as you will click on this, it will enable new calculation services for you, right? Otherwise, you will see an error, or there might be a case your CPQ triggers won't work as expected, right? You will see some calculation error or some different errors as well. So always first step is to just to authorize new calculation service as soon as you install Salesforce CPQ package, right? Now, Next is you have this default permission sets given by CPQ. Let me go to the user. Set. Now, first let's talk about this license. You see Salesforce CPQ license and Salesforce CPQ double A license. Double A means advanced approval license. Okay. So make sure your user has this license as well. If you are using Salesforce CPQ, then the particular user should have CPQ license. Then on top of that, you will assign the permission sets. Okay. So let's talk about the permission sets first.
And guys, this is very, very important. Okay, when people are working in the CPQ, they might be having hundreds of the user. So to whom you wanted to assign a particular permissions, okay, because we are having three or four kind of permissions in CPQ. So you can very well control that by using these permission, because people are really still using CPQ, but they don't know about the licensing and the permission set. Okay, so that is pretty important in terms of the business knowledge.
Yeah. And if you see my PPT, so these are CPQ, Salesforce CPQ admin user is one permission set. CPQ user is another permission set. Salesforce CPQ partner user is another. And customer user is another permission set, right? And another permission set is Salesforce CPQ admin user access. Salesforce CPQ user access. Salesforce CPQ partner user access. Salesforce CPQ customer user access. These total are 8 permission sets, right? But what CPQ advise you is always you will clone these permission sets if you want to give customized permissions, right? So let's suppose you have admin user. This CPQ user is basically meant for internal users. If your company has internal users, right? So this CPQ user permission set is meant for those kind of users, like your internal employees. Partner basically means like your partners. Customer is basically your end customers, right? Now, now what will happen is, so let's suppose the point here is, let's suppose you have assigned this permission set to your admin, right? Now why CPQ has given these default permission sets? With each and every release of CPQ, what will happen is, if CPQ will release some new permissions, okay, data security permissions, all the permissions will by default come inside these permission set. So you don't need to be worried about that. Okay. But if you have used customized permission sets, customized means like either you can clone, like if I have an admin, right? So what I can do is, what company do usually is basically they just clone these permission sets, create a new permission set, and just modify accordingly, right? That new permission set will not have all the new permissions released by CPQ. Let's suppose now Spring 24 is coming up, right? So in the next release, CPQ release some admin related permissions. So those admin related permissions will be present inside Salesforce CPQ admin user or Salesforce CPQ user access, right? So if you want that permissions to be present in your customized permission set, the best idea is you can have that customized permission set assigned to particular admin. But apart from that, what you can do is you can also assign this admin user permission set as well. Now what will happen is, you will try to change that customized permission set as per your needs, but as soon as CPQ package is getting upgraded and it is releasing new permissions or features, it will automatically come inside this permission set. And you have already assigned this permission set as well to your user, so your user will not lack those new permissions. Otherwise you need to always maintain your org as well. Like whenever CPQ release comes up, you need to always check release notes in CPQ, what new permissions CPQ has released, and in your customized permission set you always have to make sure like those permission sets are also updated with new release, right? So more or the less these are same, right? CPQ admin user or Salesforce CPQ admin user access. Okay, both are designed for same purposes, right? So there's no much difference actually. You can use any of them. You just need to be make sure the purpose, like these permission sets are only meant for admins, system admins. This is only meant for your internal users, your employees, and this is valid for partners, and this is for your customers who buy a product from you or your company, right? Okay, apart from that, like if you go to like my user, you will see all the permission sets over here. CPQ admin, partner user access, customer user access. This is custom, CPQ admin custom. This is, I believe this has been created manually by me. Now you will see Salesforce CPQ user, Salesforce CPQ user access, right? Okay.
So Dixit, we also have some Q&A.
Yeah, yeah. Just a
Let me
second.
know when we wanted to start.
Yeah. Another thing is like maybe we will see these custom settings in detail as well. So just to give you an idea, this is the controlling point of CPQ, right? If you want everything to be stop in CPQ, right? Like everything, you want to disable CPQ package, there is a quickest way to do that. This is basically triggers disabled, right? If you check this checkbox and try to click on save, what will happen is all the CPQ triggers will be stopped. Now, basically, whenever something happens in CPQ, right? So it is basically, if you see in the backend, there is always an apex trigger, right? If I say CPQ generate a contract record, so CPQ contract will have its own triggers. Like I can show you just a second. If you go to object manager, let's see contract object first, or maybe code object. Now, as soon as you go to code, right, you will see quote after quote before. So these before and after triggers are coming from CPQ package. Okay, by default, these are coming from CPQ package. And if you go on contract, you see contract after contract before. So all the CPQ objects will have these triggers. Whatever happens with the help of these triggers. If someone has uh, checked this checkbox, then no trigger will work, irrespective of any object, right? No process will work. Either it's order generation, either it's contract generation, subscription generation, everything will be stopped. So, yeah, let's see the questions.
Yeah. So, Dixit, the first question would be Prashant is asking what is the amendment opportunities?
Amendment opportunity is basically whenever you try to, you know, uh, let's suppose you purchased an antivirus for 1 year, right? Okay, but after 6 months you realized, I am not using that particular antivirus much. So what you will do is you will amend that, right? Amend means basically you are trying to change your contract in between. Your contract is active, your contract is running, but you are trying to do some modifications. So if you want to do some modifications, then what you have to do is you have to amend the contract. And when you are trying to amend that contract, what will happen, you will have to have the amendment opportunity and amendment code, right? In CPQ, as I said, everything works from a code, right? Like you have account, you have opportunity, and you will have a code. Whether it's a renewal process, whether it's a new business deal, whether it's an amendment, then you have to have a opportunity, amendment opportunity. Like amendment opportunity means to say like you are trying to modify your existing contract, and opportunity in real terms, what we used to say is a deal basically, right? So yeah.
Yeah. Thanks so much, Dixit. Uh, Prashant, I hope this answer your question. The second question is from Shivangi. She is asking how we can identify a particular CPQ license has advance approval license or not.
So basically, if you go to that user, right? Okay. So let me show you. So now if you go to this particular user, in this permission set license assignments, you will see that particular user has this particular license or not, right? And apart before that, one thing you need to make sure is just a moment. Let me do it here. In the installed packages, you will always see this advanced approvals, right? So you can install these advanced approvals and CPQ package from that link, install .steelbrick.com. And one thing you will notice over is allowed licenses, right? It's unlimited for developer. So there is no restriction. And first you need to see like advanced approvals is installed here. Yes, it is installed. Then you have to go to the particular user record and see that advanced approval license is assigned. And the next step is, like I'm talking about, like if your user missing some permissions, right? And then you will have these permission sets as well: advanced approvals admin, advanced approval users. So of course we will cover advanced approvals in separate session as well, just to give you an idea. So these are the places you can check.
Okay, next question from Prashant. I think we have not covered these particular uh, agenda. So he's asking what is the use of evaluation scope. So I would say when we'll be covering product rule or price rule, I think it will be covered automatically, right, Dikshit?
Yes.
Okay, the next question would be how we will be using twin field and how does this work? Again, I think we can take this question in the further sessions. So, guys, we will be having another session. This will be happening on next Saturday, and the scope of that session would be product bundle, product feature, product option, option constraint. But just to answer this twin field, okay, so Salesforce CPQ is having a very smart way of doing, like, let's suppose you are creating an opportunity product and on in the back end, okay, you also have a quote line. So when any order is being created, okay, so what if order product and the quote line is having the same field with the same API name and same data type, so it will be automatically copied the value from the quote line to the opportunity product. Okay,
Yeah,
so
basically twin field is just, to, as soon as you create a, in layman language, if I try to explain, as soon as you create a record for a particular object, Salesforce has defined a mapping, like let's suppose there is one object X, another object is Y. So that mapping is standard. Like if you try to create a record of Y object, and that Y object has a same field which already exists on X object with the same API name, same data type, then what will happen is whatever value has been present on X, then it will automatically come to Y. So this is a standard process which we will discuss maybe in different sessions. Yeah. Differentiate one-time quote and renewal quote. Should we renew one-time quote? If yes, then how to differentiate it is different from renewal quote. So basically, one-time quote. First thing is, if you have one-time quote, right? That means basically you don't have subscription products. So if you don't have subscription products, you will not see contract record in Salesforce CPQ, right? So one time, what basically company do is basically they generate um, assets. Assets basically tells us this particular product belongs to customer. So should we renew one time quotes? So no, that's not possible, right? But you can have is like on one quote you can have subscription products and you can have one time products, but your contract will display only subscription products. But there is another feature in Salesforce CPQ which says this particular product is one time subscription product. So what will happen is that product will still act as a subscription product, but that product will not be able to renew because that is renewable, sorry, one time subscription product, but it will still display as a part of your contract, but it won't renew. Once we will discuss product configurations or product fields, then these kind of things we can discuss in detail as well.
Yeah. Next question would be, Dikshit, what is the evergreen quote and how it is being different from the renewal quote?
What is the
Evergreen quote.
evergreen code? I believe evergreen or renewals are basically types of products.
Yeah,
Okay.
I even.
So it doesn't, there is no concept known as evergreen code. Okay. Evergreen code is nothing, right? In CPQ. In CPQ, we have three different kinds of code. Either it can be renewal, it can be amendment, or either it can be new business code. Evergreen is relates to product, right? Which is evergreen, right? You don't like I have not seen people using evergreen products much actually.
Yeah,
I
very
have
few people. Yeah, very few customer have even seen that.
yeah.
So, guys, I think we almost covered all the questions. So, still, if somebody is having a question, they can reach out to me, to Dikshit as well. So, we already shared the LinkedIn profile for Dikshit and me, and you can reach out to me as well and Dikshit and Kumar as well. But also, I've just pasted out the next session link in the chat. So if you wanted to learn more about CPQ, and again, whatever we have covered today, that is very high level, and then we'll go deep dive in each and every session. Okay, then obviously you can register them yourself, and we will be having these session on each Saturday 11 a.m. So for now, we are having around 12 session which we have scheduled right now, but going forward, we can have some advanced topics as well.
And we will also share this PPT as well.
Yeah, I'll do that
Yeah.
maybe in a week. Yeah, any questions, guys? We love to hear the questions if somebody is having. I think we are good. Thank you so much, guys, for the time you have been taken out for the weekend. And have a great weekend ahead and happy learning, guys.
Thank you everyone. Bye.
Thank you so much, guys.